Your brain has two competing systems for learning, and in people with ADHD, something goes wrong with the balance between them. Everyday behavior relies on two competing cognitive systems. Goal-directed control lives in the prefrontal cortex and lets you deliberately adapt to new situations. It is flexible but mentally exhausting. Automatic processing lives in the striatum and handles familiar tasks without active thought. These two systems compete for mental resources, and psychological theories suggest an antagonistic relationship between them. When you dial back deliberate control, your brain can often dedicate more energy to automatic learning. That is the natural trade-off. Research has shown that when people relax their mental restraint, they actually become better at unconsciously picking up on hidden patterns in their environment. Weaker response inhibition opens the door for enhanced statistical learning. The brain absorbs environmental probabilities without conscious effort. It is a kind of compensatory advantage. Less active control means more automatic processing. Your mind picks up on subtle regularities that a highly focused brain might miss because it is too busy directing attention. Carolina Horvath at the Gran Canaria Cognitive Research Center at Atlántico Medio University in Spain led a team of cognitive scientists to test whether ADHD traits alter this give-and-take relationship. They recruited 226 university students who completed a self-report questionnaire measuring ADHD-like symptoms on a spectrum. Then participants performed what the researchers called the cognitive trade-off task. On screen, a dog or cat appeared in one of four positions. Participants pressed a corresponding keyboard button as quickly as possible when a designated target image appeared. But in some trials, an opposing stop signal appeared, and participants had to suppress their urge to press. Hidden within the stream of images was an underlying mathematical sequence in the image positions. Participants were not told about it. The results revealed something unexpected. Participants with higher ADHD-like traits were indeed worse at the stop signal portion, confirming that increased ADHD symptoms correlate with poorer response inhibition. The team also observed the expected trade-off in the broader group. Participants with weaker response inhibition reacted much faster to the hidden sequence patterns. Their diminished deliberate control opened the door for enhanced statistical learning, but individuals at the higher end of the ADHD trait spectrum deviated from this rule. For them, the automatic learning advantage progressively faded away. Even though they had poor response inhibition, their statistical learning did not receive the expected boost. The investigators suspect an explanation from animal observation studies. Scientists categorize animals into goal trackers, who focus on the reward location, and sign trackers, who become obsessed with the environmental cue itself. The researchers suspect that for people with high ADHD traits, the stop signal becomes a similarly magnetic distraction. They cannot resist the urge to cognitively react to the cue, overriding the logical parts of the brain that dictate task strategy. The prominent stimulus disrupts their ability to unconsciously absorb the surrounding positional patterns. The cue steals the show. Uncontrolled mind wandering may play an additional role in this cognitive disruption. The spontaneous shift of attention away from a task can interrupt the smooth operation of goal-directed brain functions. This unintentional loss of focus could further explain why the brain fails to latch onto underlying environmental probabilities. When the mind drifts, the subtle statistical patterns that would normally be absorbed automatically slip away unnoticed. The study carries important limitations. The sample consisted mainly of young, highly educated university students. The group featured a heavy imbalance in gender representation, with more than 80% identifying as female. The entire sequence was conducted on personal computers without direct supervision from the research team. The scientists note that conducting similar assessments in controlled laboratory environments would help ensure these psychological patterns hold up under strict observation. Because the experiment relied on self-report questionnaires, subjective bias could have influenced the severity measurements. The Reddit community shared powerful personal perspectives. One commenter described the PINCH acronym for what makes ADHD tasks doable: passion and play, interest, novelty, competition and challenge, or hurry and urgency. Another commenter emphasized that people with ADHD find it extremely difficult to build lasting habits. But once a habit is firmly established, the task usually stops being a problem. Someone else shared how medication helped them perceive time differently, shifting from existing only in the present or the distant future to being able to create plans around their time and hold mental space for things that need to happen within the next week. Another commenter described using meditation as training for response inhibition, sitting still for 5 minutes to practice not getting what they want. This spectrum-oriented concept could eventually alter how mental healthcare professionals view and treat cognitive disorders. Rather than waiting for symptoms to cross a strict diagnostic threshold, experts could develop targeted strategies to detect struggling brain functions early in a person's life. Clinicians could potentially design therapies that optimize how the brain shifts between active focus and passive habit building. ADHD is viewed by many mental health experts not just as a strict diagnosis, but as a collection of behavioral traits that exist along a spectrum in the general population. People can have traits associated with the condition, such as inattentiveness or impulsivity, even if they do not meet the criteria for a formal medical evaluation. The study, titled ADHD-like Traits Reshape the Balance Between Inhibitory Control and Predictive Processes, was authored by Karolina Horvath, Bianca Brezoksky, Adrian Holzer, Teodora Vakeny and Deso Namath, and published in the Journal of Attention Disorders. The research was reported by Karina Petrova on SciPost. The full paper is available under the DOI 101177108705472614322424. If you want to dive deeper into this research or explore more science stories from Reddit, subscribe to Orbit Reports and hit the notification bell so you never miss a breakdown. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.